Know, O friend, that after acquiring the necessary knowledge of belief, you must do good and righteous deeds. For, following belief, the Qur'an declares, those who do good, righteous deeds. This short life suffices only for doing what is most important and necessary. Science and technology are necessary insofar as they help satisfy essential needs, human progress, both intellectual and spiritual, and human prosperity in both worlds. If they cause dissipation and sedition, they are harmful. O God, O most compassionate of the compassionate, have mercy on Muhammad's community and illumine its people's hearts with the light of belief in the Qur'an. Brighten the proof of the Qur'an and exalt Islam. Amen. To conclude, believers who say, I bear witness that there is no deity but God, Muhammad is the messenger of God, or all praise be to God, have made a claim, announced a cause and conviction, and declared a conclusion. Each radiation of belief in Islam is supported by the whole. Each part of the whole, regardless of size, needs for its being whatever the whole needs for its being. The prophethood of Muhammad, upon whom be peace and blessings, is like a seed from which the blossoming, fruit-laden tree of Islam has grown. History's account of the Prophet's life represents only the shell of the seed from which the blessed tree of Prophet Muhammad has grown. A minute particle can manifest only the names of the Eternal Son, for it has no truly effective and operative ability to create anything. Attributing the fruit of a group's work to one person leads to associating partners with God, for the underlying assumption is that the person in question produced those fruits. Serving God leads to reward, especially in the hereafter, while serving the ego leads to pain and suffering. Living the time of death undefined shows that it has been defined in the originator's knowledge. Calling blessings and peace upon the Prophet is like answering the invitation of the bestower of bounties who spreads his blessings freely. The difference between the civilization of unbelievers and that of true believers. Ijtihad is allowed, but not in all circumstances. One of the 55 languages that witnesses the Almighty's necessary existence and His unity in His divinity and lordship. The area where your mind and heart move is too spacious to be encompassed. God's gifts have conditions. The Qur'an's miraculousness saves it from corruption. Our disobedience, rebelliousness, and ingratitude mostly arise from our blindness to the divine act of bestowing bounties and indifference to the one who bestows. Satan's whisperings and involuntary thoughts and suggestions arising from the heart and carnal soul should be ignored. Philosophers who criticize Islam and why unbelievers sometimes beat the believers in this world. Intense love causes one to deny the thing loved. The seed of unbelief potentially bears hell. Your relation with your life is like the relation between a steersman and the royal ship that he steers. Do not confuse a shadowy existence formed through manifestation or reflection according to what destiny has determined with the main substantial existence. The Qur'an explains many truths through parables and comparisons, for this makes the abstract divine truths easily understandable. The heart has the same meaning for you as the divine throne. A supplication, an address to the Turkish parliament. Your body and what maintains it do not belong to you, so you cannot control them as you wish. Each surah of the Qur'an contains a summary of the whole Qur'an. Those who submit to God's will and pursue His pleasure are served by everything. Those who disobey God find that everything turns against them. If you had to pay for what earth, with His permission, freely gives you, you would not be able to buy even a piece of fruit. When He wills a thing, His command is but to say to it, be, and it is. And your creation and resurrection is but like those of a single soul. Racism is a combination of heedlessness, ignorance, misguidance, ostentation, and wrongdoing, which support and give strength to each other. Debating with heretics, agnostics, and imitators of Western atheists. When you have a high opinion of yourself, consider those greater than you. There are innumerable purposes for the life of every living creature. Your admission of impotence, poverty, and insignificance before God, together with your recognition and conviction of Him, becomes a mirror to show His power, wealth, and dignity. After acquiring the necessary knowledge about belief, a believer must do good and righteous deeds. The sixth treatise, a grain contained by a fruit in the garden of the Qur'an. The grain says, I am a tree branch laden with the fruits of divine unity, or a drop from the sea full of the pearls of praise unto Him. In the name of God, the All-Merciful, the All-Compassionate. Praise be to God for Islam and the perfection of belief. May God's blessings and peace be upon Muhammad, the center of the circle of Islam and the source of the lights of belief, and on all his family and companions, so long as days and nights continue, and the sun and moon move in their courses. Know, O friend, that if you see the universe as a great book, you will see the light of Muhammad as the ink with which the author of that book has written it. If you see the universe as a tree, you will see his light as originally its seed and consequently its fruit. If you see the universe as an animate being, you will see his light as its spirit. If you see the universe as a macro-human, you will see his light as its intellect. If you see the universe as a flower garden, you will see his light as its nightingale. If you see the universe as a lofty, richly decorated castle with many rooms and apartments, displaying the splendor of the eternal sovereign's sovereignty, the marvels of his glory, the beautiful manifestations of his grace, and the wonderful designs of his art, you will see the light of the Prophet Muhammad as a spectator. He first views them on his behalf and then announces, O people, come and look at these pleasant sights. Hasten to receive your share in them, love, amazement, refreshment, appreciation, enlightenment, reflection, and many other lofty things. He shows all this to them, he observes them, and has others observe them. As he himself is amazed by them, he causes others to be amazed by them. He loves their owner and makes him loved by others. As he is illumined through them, he has others illumined. He benefits from them and makes others benefit. Know, O friend, that humanity is the fruit of the tree of creation. A fruit is a tree's most perfect part and the farthest from the roots. It also is the most comprehensive of those parts and has the properties of the whole tree. There must be one human being from whom the all-powerful one grew this tree of creation. The Creator made that individual the tree's fruit, and then, as the all-merciful one, made this illustrious fruit the seed of the tree of Islam, the lamp of its world, the sun of its system. That illustrious person is the Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace and blessings. What is necessary for a tree is also necessary for its seed. The tree being so large and the seed so small does not require that the tiny seed should be exempt from this rule. There is a grain also within humanity. If humanity had been a fruit, this grain would have been its seed. This grain is the heart. Due to the variety of human needs, human beings have relations with all species and individual parts of creation. Due to the intensity of their need and poverty, they have connections with all lights of the divine beautiful names. If it is as if they have as many needs as there are parts of creation. People have worth-filling adversities and hostilities and are satisfied only with one who can make them independent of and protect them from everything. Like a map, an index, or a sample, each person can include or represent all of creation. They have a seed that only accepts the one, the single. They are content only with what is eternal and perpetual. This seed is the grain of the heart, which is to be watered by Islam and receive light from belief. If, in the soil of servitude and purity of intention, it is watered by Islam and awakened to life by belief, it grows into such an illustrious spiritual tree that it becomes its corporeal body's spirit. If it is not watered, it remains a dried seed, having to burn in fire until it acquires the quality of light. The seed contains very subtle, delicate things like nerves, each of which, if it germinates properly, fulfills an important duty. Also, the grain of the heart has inactive servants that, when activated and developed with the life of the heart, travel through the gardens of the universe like birds. Consequently, this grain expands to the degree that one says, "Praise be to God for all His creatures, for all of them are bounties conferred on me." This grain expands to the degree that, for example, imagination, the heart's weakest and feeblest servant, is burdened with a strange duty. Through it, human beings who are confined in a narrow place enter an exhilarating garden, and while praying in the remotest eastern or western corner, put their heads under the black stone of the Kaaba, and trusting to it, they are testifying to God's being their Lord. Grain is threshed on the threshing ground and preserved. In the same manner, the plane of resurrection is the ground awaiting humanity, the fruit of creation, to separate the grain from the chaff. Know, O friends, that everyone has a particular world, identical with the outer world, except that its center is that particular individual and not the sun. Its keys are in that person's hands and are connected with his or her senses and faculties. This world takes its color from the individual, and based on this same individual, is either prosperous and beautiful or ugly, illuminate or dark. Just as a garden's reflection and the changes it displays depend on the mirror, every person's world depends on its owner's views and characteristics. Your small bodily size is not an excuse for the insignificance of your sins. A negligible amount of darkness or hardness in your heart may extinguish all the stars of your particular world. Know, O friend, that for 30 years I have struggled against two rebels, the ego within human beings and nature in the outer world. I have seen the former as a shadowy mirror reflecting someone else. Nevertheless, humanity views it as having an independent existence, showing itself, and therefore becoming an unbending tyrant in rebellion against its creator. I have seen nature as a work of divine art, a painting of the all-merciful. However, due to their viewing it heedless of the creator, materialists regard it as a deity, as self-originated and existing by itself, and as an excuse for ingratitude. This has resulted in unbelief. Thanks be to God and praise be to Him, for by the help of the One, eternally besought of all, and by the enlightenment of the glorious Qur'an, my struggle has ended in the death of these two rebels, the smashing of these two idols. As discussed in many other sections in this book, a work of divine art, a collection of the divine laws of creation and operation of the universe, has appeared behind the veil of nature. Ego has broken into pieces, and behind it has emerged the one like whom there is nothing. Exalted is His Majesty. Know, O ego, that there are 9 things of whose nature and consequences you are unaware. First, your body is like a fresh, pleasant, and enjoyable fruit in summer, but dried and rotten in winter. Second, your animal quality. See how quickly decay and death come to animals. Third, your human quality, which vacillates between extinction and purification, decay and permanence. Preserve that which is inclined to remain forever through constant remembrance of the everlasting one. Fourth, your short and limited lifespan, which lasts only until the hour appointed for it, is neither antedated nor postponed. So do not grieve for it, be anxious about it, or burden it with worldly ambitions that cannot be achieved while you are alive. Fifth, your material existence is in the hand of the true owner of all things, who cares for it much more than you do. If you interfere in it without his permission, you will harm it. Do you not see how avarice brings despair and disappointment, how insistence on sleeping causes sleeplessness and restlessness? Sixth, the misfortunes befalling you are not really bitter, for they disappear quickly. The pleasure of their disappearance is followed by fortune. Besides, they cause you to turn from what is fleeting to what is permanent through the all-permanent one. Seventh, you are a guest wherever you are. Guests do not set their hearts upon what does not concern them or accompany them on their trip. You will depart from here soon, and from this town you will either go out of it or be buried in it. You will leave this transient world or be expelled from it. So abandon and renounce it with honor and dignity before you are expelled in humiliation. 8. You should sacrifice your material existence to the one who has given it to you, for he buys it for a very high price. Make haste to sell it, rather to sacrifice it. For first of all, it goes away for nothing. Second, it belongs to him and will ultimately be returned to him. Third, your reliance on it causes you to fall into non-existence, for your existence is a door opened onto him. If you open that door through renunciation, you will find permanent existence. Fourth, if you cling to it, only a point-sized part of it remains in your hand, and you will be enveloped by a thick darkness of non-existence. If you blow off that part, the lights of existence will surround you. 9th, worldly pleasure or enjoyment. Whatever destiny has for you will come to you, so do not worry about it. Sensible people do not set their hearts upon fleeting things. However, your own particular world ends, you should renounce worldly pleasure. If it ends in happiness, you can attain happiness by renouncing pleasure. If it ends in misery, how can one waiting to be hanged get pleasure from decorated gallows? Even unbelievers who think they are headed for absolute non-existence, I seek refuge with God from such a supposition, should renounce worldly pleasure, for the continual disappearance of such pleasure brings a continual feeling of the pain of the absolute non-existence they suppose to follow death. Such pain is much more acute than the pleasure they find in life. Know, O friend, that your likeness, when stricken with a misfortune thrown by destiny, is that of a sheep trying to enter a public pasture. The shepherd seeks to turn them aside by throwing stones at them. The sheep, struck by the stones, turn back, as if saying, "We are under the shepherd's command. He knows us better than ourselves, so we must return." No, O my soul, you are not more astray than the sheep. When stricken with misfortune, say, "We belong to God and are bound to return to Him." No, O friend, that out of innumerable evidences that the heart was not created to be occupied primarily with worldly affairs, heed the following. When the heart is attached to something, it becomes strongly attached. It sets upon it too zealously, and seeking permanence and eternity is completely lost. When the heart stretches out its hand to grasp it, it tries to get as much as possible. However, it can only get that which is no bigger than a hair or nothing at all. This is because the heart is the mirror reflecting the eternal abyssal of all. It does not admit an idol carved out of stone, for that stone breaks it. A lover mostly suffers at the beloved's hand because the beloved unconsciously rejects what does not belong to him or her, as the lover is not worthy to reside in the beloved's heart. Know, O friend, that a heavenly table was sent along with the Qur'an. On it, people can find whatever their intellectual appetites need. The food is arranged in a certain order. First is the food for ordinary people who form the great majority of humanity. For example, their share in the heavens and earth were at first one piece, then we parted them, there was no relationship between the heavens and earth. The heavens were clean and without clouds, unable to send rain, while earth was dried and barren. Then, by the Almighty's will and permission, a relationship was established between them. So, when the heavens gave birth to rain, earth began to bring forth its produce. The part of the verse just following the sentences above, and we have made every living thing from water, alludes to this. The meaning inferred by those with a higher level of understanding is, the sun and planets were separated from the matter that was created from the light of the chief of all creation, the Prophet Muhammad, and that matter could assume any shape like dough. This is indicated by the hadith, what God created first is my light. Consider, were we then worn out by the first creation, yet they are in doubt about a new creation. From this verse, ordinary people understand that those who cannot admit the resurrection affirm their creation, which they ought to recognize as much more astonishing. They regard the resurrection as improbable, although it will be easier. Beyond this level of understanding lies a bright evidence for the perfect ease of the resurrection. O deniers of the resurrection, you are revived and resurrected many times in your life, nay, annually, nay, daily. Like changing clothes in the morning and evening, you put on and then discard your bodies daily. Know, O friend, how foolish the human ego or selfhood is. It sees in itself the imprints, traces, and signs of an absolutely free, all-wise Lord's making, sustaining, and administering, and discerns that this is true of all other individual beings, species, and kinds as a universal, all-encompassing rule. It therefore must be convinced of this as an undeniable reality confirmed by creation. Yet, the foolish ego deceives itself by seeing such an overall and universal manifestation of the divine beautiful names, which also are manifested on it, as a sign of divine neglect of it, and a veil under which it can hide from the Lord's watching and inspection. These manifestations, universality, and intensity lead it to suppose that no one is watching it. Even a Satan is ashamed of such a sophistry. Know, O distressed, restless soul, like the sun's rising in the morning and setting in the evening, whatever happens to you and all your conditions has been predetermined by the pen of destiny and inscribed on your forehead. Your distress and depression will only increase if you criticize destiny. This will be no different from striking your head against an unwill willfully. One who cannot penetrate the regions and depths of the heavens and earth must consent willingly to the lordship of the one who created everything and decreed its destiny. Know, O friend, that if the maker of a thing were within it, he or she would be of the same nature as it, and there would have to be as many makers as the things made. For example, look at this book. It is written with one pen, but printed by using all letters of the alphabet. Or someone types it by pressing many keys on a typewriter. The designs or embroideries in a work of art are not made by that work. A tree's fruits are not made by that tree, and a page's letters are not produced by that page. Otherwise, order would be destroyed and everything would descend to chaos. But we see that there is a perfect order and stability in the creation, for everything is inscribed by the pen of the divine power on the lines of destiny. Know, O friend, that intellect, which comprehends the universe and goes so far beyond it, is sometimes drowned in a drop, disappears in an atom, is lost in a hair, and restricts existence to what it is lost in, wishing to include all that it comprehends in that which has so loved it. If you had the power to possess and control this material domain, if it really belonged to you, your fear and anxiety about maintaining it would make it very hard for you to benefit from it. However, the all-munificent bestower of bounties agrees to provide whatever you need. All you have to do is to eat from the table of his favors and thank him. Thanking him will cause him to increase his favors upon you, for it means seeing the act of favoring or giving bounties. Seeing this act removes the grief arising from the bounty's disappearance, for this disappearance is not eternal. Like fruits eaten this year being succeeded by new ones next year, it means departing to make room for something new. Thus, it gives you the delight of ever-renewed pleasure. Their latest call, "All praise be to God, the Lord of the worlds," indicates that praising is itself a pleasure. Praising means that you see the tree of divine favoring in the favor of fruits. It removes the pain arising from the thought of their disappearance and becomes the pleasure itself. Know, O friend, that information provided by materialistic science and philosophy about the outer world cannot always be free of doubt and error. But information based on one's sound conscience is mostly free of doubt and trouble. So, look from your inner world, your conscience, toward the outer world if you want to avoid error. Know, O friend, that as this civilization has made the world into a small town, people know and hear from one another through the media, help each other to commit sins, and pursue what does not benefit them. This leads them to sin and thickens their heedlessness of belief and religious life. Only a mighty effort and struggle can rend this veil. This civilization has made innumerable openings to the world in our souls. Only God's special mercy can close them.